All right, we're going to look at literal equations. We've been solving a lot of equations lately, so we're going to look at what a literal equation is. A literal equation is an equation containing multiple variables where each variable represents a known value. We're used to seeing just one variable in our equation, which is often the case. However, formulas that we use in science, mathematics, and other subjects often have multiple variables that represent different things. So our goal here is to solve each equation for an indicated variable. We're going to use what we've done with equation solving and what we know about combining like terms to help us do this. So number one, solve each equation for the indicated variable. We always have to know what we're solving for. So in example one, z equals m times a, it wants us to solve for a, which means a is the variable we want isolated. Everything has to move away from the a. Now, if I were looking at this, this is z equals m times a, multiplying by m. So if I want to undo that, I have to divide by m on both sides. So we kind of treat m as if it were a number. What would we do with m if it was a value? We would divide by that value. So our answer to this problem is a is equal to whatever z is divided by the value of m. And what we have just done is we've taken an equation that was solved for z, and we've transformed it into an equation that is now solved for a, which we wanted. In 2, g equals a plus c, solve again for a. So if I were to solve this, I want a by itself, which means I have to undo adding c. Well, to undo adding c, I have to subtract c. That leaves us with a equals, which was our goal, g minus c. These are different terms. They're different variables, which means I can't combine them. And I'm going to write out what I just said, g minus c. G minus c. And this is my new formula solved for a, or equal to a. Question, or example 3, m equals negative 3c minus 2 plus x. And we want to solve for x. So we want x by itself. Well, I can do this in any order, but what I do know is I have to undo this minus 3c, and I have to undo this minus 2. So my first step, I'm going to add 2. Add 2. So that's going to leave me with m plus 2. Again, I can't combine these. They're unlike. And then on the right side, these go away, and I'm left with negative 3c plus x. Not finished. X is not by itself. I have to undo this minus 3c, or get rid of the negative 3c by adding 3c on both sides. Leaves me with my x, which is equal to, these terms are not like, so I'm going to write it out the long way. M plus 2 plus 3c. So our final answer, m plus 2 plus 3c is equal to x. These two are the same. I just wrote it a little nicer. All right, example 4. Z equals the quantity negative 6x minus 3a, all divided by 2. Solve for x. So I'm solving for x. The first thing I have to do is undo this dividing by 2. So we're going to times both sides by 2. This cancels out, leaving me with negative 6x minus 3a, so what I had in the numerator, is equal to 2 times, oh, not a, z, 2z. Next, I'm working to get x by itself, so I need to get rid of this term, minus 3a. So we're going to add 3a. So I have 2z with a plus 3a, can't combine, unlike terms, equal to negative 6x. And my final step to get x by itself, I have to divide this by negative 6, which means I'm going to divide this whole side by negative 6. So my final result, x is equal to 2z plus 3a, all divided by negative 6. And 5. Here we don't have anything to solve for. It doesn't tell us anything. So we need to have that in order to do anything. So let's pick a variable. Let's solve for x. I want x by itself. And what is happening is x is being multiplied. All of this is multiplication. So what we can actually do is we can divide by that whole chunk all in one step. So we're going to divide both sides by c times r minus d. C times r minus d. Because this will cancel and cancel, leaving us with our x. And then on the left side, we will have m over c times r minus d. And that would be our final answer. So this is kind of introduction to solving literal equations. A common literal equation in algebra is standard form of a linear equation. And we've talked about what linear equations are. Linear equations are equations that form lines. The standard form is ax plus by equals c, where the values of a, b, and c are real numbers. And a and b are not both 0. So we have an equation, 2 equations here in that standard form. Notice they have an x and a y, so they have 2 variables. We're going to solve both of these for y. Okay, so we have negative 6x plus 2y equals 10. The first thing we have to do is move that x term to the right side of the equal sign. So because this is minus 6x, we're going to add 6x. That leaves me with 2y equals 10 plus 6x. Now, I like the x terms to come before the numbers, so I'm going to actually rewrite this as 2y equals 6x plus 10. It's the same, but I like the numbers at the end. Now I need to get y by itself, so we're going to divide by 2. We're going to divide this whole side by 2. So we have y equals 6x plus 10 divided by 2. Now, we are done, but we can simplify this one step further. What we can do is we can divide both terms in the numerator by 2. So we are going to do 6 divided by 2, and then we're going to do 10 divided by 2. So what that leaves me with a final result of y equals 6 divided by 2 is 3, and it still has my x. And then 10 divided by 2 is 5, which is positive. So this as simplified as we can get for our equation equal to y. Let's do this again with problem 7. I'll keep the one on the left so we can kind of mimic it. Solve for y. So I need to undo the 7x. We're going to take away 7x. Negative 4y, because remember these cancel, I still have the negative, is equal to 24 minus 7x. Again, I like the variables first, so I'm going to rewrite this as negative 4y equals negative 7x with a positive 24. I need to get y by itself, which tells me to divide by negative 4. And just like before, I have y equals negative 7x plus 24, all divided by negative 4. Now we're going to do just like we did this step here on the left side. I want to do negative 7 divided by negative 4. Well, negative 7 divided by negative 4 doesn't work out nicely, so I'm going to leave it as that fraction with the negatives canceling one another. So this will be 7 over 4 with my x. Then I have 24 divided by negative 4, which is a negative 6, so I leave them negative or minus 6. And this is how I can convert a formula into solving for y, or a formula equal to y. And that is our first introduction to literal equations.